So we're having a great time here.
Yeah, I grew up in Wise.
Yeah.
I was born here 100 years ago. I've seen this place grow. Yeah, I graduated from J.J. Kelly. I'm really glad. I'm really glad to be back and to share some of the music that I learned here and to celebrate this momentous occasion.
Yes, sir.
All right. A song my dad and I wrote called Crazy Love. How's everybody doing today? How about it? I see some familiar faces. It's really nice. And one time since I guess last year I played out at the Poor Farm Society at UVA Wise. And it was in the middle of winter and a lot of people were sick, so including ourselves. So I was glad to have an opportunity to come back and play when I felt really good, you know? It's called Crazy Love. Well, I'm saying words I don't know and hearing solid sound. East is west and fast and slow, my ups and turned down. And what's happened to old? Steady me, why can't I be the same? I toss my night and sleep my day, repeating this refrain. Crazy love, sneaking up on me. Crazy love, how blind can I be? and she plays washboard and sings. She's been with us over a year. She's a real crybaby now. We made her cry a lot, so that's a good thing. Over here we have Sandy Goodson, and she plays flute and whistle and guitar and sings. She's from the Stanton, Charlottesville area. From New York.
I am, but not where it's more people than cows.
More cows than people.
And my family actually is from Fleetwood, and my great uncle was Picture Man Mullins. So when Lisa and I got together, the Mullins.
We met in Charlottesville about 20-some years ago, and we started talking about heritage in our families, and found out that we probably have relatives in common somewhere down the line. My mother's side and your mom's side. Let me tell you how life is do. It's always coming up with something new. Sit apart, walks the chance, making it out like he's a bosom friend. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble, you better let that liar alone.
The liar takes a notion and the truth. Way around the neighbors really gets the news. Every day you look out, that liar comes to your house.
You don't want. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble, you better let that liar alone. They'll tell you such a lie, it'll surprise your mind. It's a little truth gonna make it shine. Then it gets his business fixed just right. You know that liars don't call the pride if you don't want. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble, you better let that liar alone.
I want you to pull for. How you doing? I'll sit with you, Vern. Got your picture.
Studies of the lie, tells us we have simply that it must be true. I heard you out for it, just a lie. You don't mind your pretty tale.
Don't want. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble, you better let that liar alone. Everything is a perfect piece. Then comes the double liar who's to see. You know the liar is so much worse. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble, you better let that liar alone if you don't want. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble if you don't want. Get in trouble, you better let that liar alone.
Thank you. I learned that from Hazel Dickens and Alice Gerard, but it's actually a Carter family tale.
In case you just joined us, we are the Crybabies. I'm Lisa Robertson. I grew up in Wise with a lot of you guys, you know. And we're really glad to be here in case you just joined us for this celebration. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you to Caterson and the town of Wise for their invitation. Donnie, thank you so much. Janet, Billy, we are grateful. Nice to see your smiling faces. Play a little song about love and how it spins you around. There's a love turn around and around, keep on rolling until you found the perfect partner. Somebody to try. Having hope for every day under the night. So she's halfway to Texas with all your dreams. Alright, we'll get your Sandy on your whistle and vocals.
Centennial. I'm not doing test 1, 2, 3. They said that's not cool anymore. You don't test 1, 2, 3. So test. Hello. Is that loud enough? Can everybody hear me? Okay. I probably don't even need the mic. Let's show our appreciation again for Lisa Robertson and the Bravo. Fantastic job.
Go right ahead and
tell a little story. Lisa and I were in a band, and Lisa told me, do not say this. We were in a band 49 years ago, and we played every weekend for about 2 years, 2.5 years, and I left and went away to college, and they continued on for about 6 additional months after me with a different drummer. So, Trooper Max. Yes, Trooper Max Band. And in a 2-year period, we played every single weekend but 2 weekends. And our bass guitar player got married. And the second one, we got canceled. We were planning to book to play Friday and Saturday, and they canceled on us. So, and it's all because of the great not the drummer, because of the vocals and Lisa. When we got Lisa on board, our numbers went up. So, Lord, I thank the world of Lisa, and we're glad to have her here, very much so. We're glad to have everybody here. Welcome. Thank you. Where's Bonnie?
Right here.
Well, you need to come up here. Stand beside of me. Do something. Bonnie and I, when we started talking about the Centennial, we talked about having a story, a day that people would just tell stories and old stories about the town of Wise and what went on. So we thought that was a great idea. So Bonnie and I got together at the Centennial meeting and said, well, we will do that. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if I could have gotten a better person to have worked with to do this. Because Bonnie Akers, if she decides she wants to do something, it happens. So let's thank Bonnie. And it changes. It has changed today. I brought an ink pen because I've added and deleted things that we're doing today. And Bonnie and I have talked 2 and 3 times every single day since we started. And we thought, well, let's do this. Well, let's do that. Let's add this on. Let's bring this person in. Let's talk about these issues. Let's talk about this event. Let's talk about that. So the event kind of grew, because when we first started it, we were looking at, an hour and a half of people sitting around talking. So we're hoping now that this is going to be less than 2 hours, 2.5. So I'll shut up and I'll get started. Yeah. So first thing that we have is I'd like to invite up our mayor, Teresa Atkins, to kind of give us official welcome on behalf of the town. Teresa.
That's all right. I'll have to stand like this. Welcome again. We thank you all for coming out. This is a great crowd of people to be here today. And if you were here yesterday in the big blades, you saw the children perform and all the different activities we have there with the UVA-wise marching band and our own Jack Wright performing some music for us. And thank you, Lisa, and your band again for that. We welcome you today. This is the second part of our Centennial celebration. There is cake and ice cream, I think, outside, and some other refreshments over on this side. So thank you all for being here. Today, I think we get started with recognizing our oldest citizens in the town of Wise.
Not the oldest citizen.
I know you're not.
Well, you are today.
Or ones that are the closest to 100 years old. So, Miss Betty, what year were you born?
25.
25. Okay. So you would be 99. Yes. You weren't around when we formed the town of Wise, but a year later. So we thank you. At this time, we will recognize Everett, and I think you go by your middle name, Everett.
Everett
Burns. Gillum. Everett. Mr. Burns, would you come up, please? Mr. Gillum?
I'll try.
All
We have
right.
a chair here.
We have a chair right here. Mr. Gillum, I know that you're not supposed to ask people how old you are, but tell us how old you are.
101.
101. And do you have an early remembrance of when you were a child in the town of Wise? Okay.
Give him the mic, get the mic.
Give him the microphone.
All righty.
You can talk.
You can talk too. I know you can talk.
Okay. Now, of course, I was born and raised in a hurricane, but my uncle had a restaurant over down Main Street here next to the Main Street there. Went out to-
The mic's not on.
It's on.
Not close enough.
Okay. So I got to come to town quite often out of the country there with that restaurant. Uncle had and Dad, old time stuff then. There wasn't any cars around here then at all. They had curfew at night. 8 o'clock, if the courthouse said they blow that curfew and all the children had to be off the street unless they were with some adults. Doc Gillum, he was the main town sergeant. That's back in the 30s. So a lot of different things happened. I grew up, went to the Wise High School out here, Luther Redding. He was a principal then at the high school in the 12th building down there.
That's right.
Right. So we kind of, in the Depression time, we called it Hoover times. Really hard times. We didn't have very much activity of going, a lot of luxury stuff and all. So we all survived it, made it pretty good. The Lord looked after me, let me keep going, and other people too. I'm just thankful.
Thank you.
Good show,
Miss Becky, do you want to tell us about anything that you remember when you were a youngster in the town of Wise?
I remember cows going down the street instead of these cars.
I remember cows instead of cars.
That's enough for me.
Tell us something else. Tell us something
Oh, yes.
That's profit.
I remember Doc Parks going down the road with the cows and all them good things. But I hate these things. I do, I hate them.
Right. Well, we thank you all for representing the town of Wise, and we're glad that we have citizens like you all to look up to. And thank you all for your lives here and what you mean to your community and your family. If you are family of Mr. Gillum, would you all please stand? Is there any family here with Mr. Gillum or friends?
Phyllis.
My friends, all right.
Yes, thank you. And Miss Betty, I know that you have family here.
Oh, yes.
Family and friends of Miss Betty, of course, as friends, we could all stand for everybody, but family of Miss Gillum, family of Miss Hall, I married you off here. Family of Miss Hall and neighbors, would you all please stand? Thank you all very much. And I think we have certificates to be given to them later
Yes,
to represent that. So at this time, I guess I'll just ask if you all would, I guess you can turn your seats back around.
Well, no, wait a
No,
minute,
wait.
You want to sit right there. You want me to do Robert?
Yeah, okay. All right, and at this time then we have our youngest resident of the town of Wise, and this is Riley Jackson.
Yes.
And I think her mom and dad, and I think there's a grandparent here somewhere.
The oldest and the youngest.
Yes, and Miss Riley is how old?
7 months.
7 months old. Is it possible for Miss Betty to hold Miss Riley so we can get a picture?
Bonnie. Bonnie is their kind of official photographer of the day as well. So.
Oh, look at
Bonnie, come on and get these black eyes.
Here we go. Look at Bonnie. Look at Birds. Birds Betty. Look at Bonnie.
Look at Bonnie.
that baby is beautiful.
Beautiful, yes.
Tell you what.
That baby is beautiful.
What we want next is we want to get the Wise Town Council, the current Wise Town Council up behind these people and let them take their pictures too. So any council members here, please come forward.
All right, here we go. 1, 2. All right. All right, that will be.
Wait a second. Wait.
All right, 1,
Sorry.
2, One more. One,
Perfect.
That's so good. Oh, look at that, baby.
Let's congratulate our oldest and our youngest citizens. Miss Betty, turn around. Say it with Neil style. We need to get you to come back over here.
I'm glad to.
You stay right here.
At this time, I'll ask Reagan Walsh to come on up.
This is actually, wait just a second. No, Josh Hess is here. Josh is next. Josh is with the Morgan Griffin's office. So we'd like to ask Josh to come up and speak just for a few moments. Yes. Josh, welcome to be here. Thank you very much for sharing this with me.
Hi everyone, my name is Josh Hess. I'm the District Director for Congressman Morgan Griffith, and it's awesome to be here to celebrate the town's centennial, and be part of this celebration. As a quick side note, I used to live, I'm from Richlands originally. Please do not hold that against me. But I lived in the town here 3 years ago, lived and worked here, and I just think the world of the people, and it's an honor to work for Congressman Griffith, who obviously represents the town of Wise. He actually poached me to come back to work for him in this building here 3 years ago in April. So, but it's an honor to be here and to be a part of this celebration. And I'm going to be very brief. But I wanted to do something to be a part of this celebration and also honor Mr. Gillum. And so what we had is we had a flag flown over the United States Capitol to recognize him as it says the oldest veteran in the town of Wise. I think it's the most senior veteran in the town of Wise. Greatly appreciate his service, and it's just an honor to be here with him. I got to meet and talk with him a little bit earlier before this, and it's truly an honor. So it's my understanding that someone is going to present this flag to him that was flown over the United States Capitol at the request of Congressman Griffith.
Thank you. This is the first time we've done it. It's been 100 years, so we're still trying to learn what we're doing. So I'm going to back up now.
That microphone pointed me.
Yeah. Okay.
If you just write it out and hold it up.
It'll work. I got you. Okay, but we have commemorative coins that we wanted to present to our senior female citizen, Betty Hall. And we have one that we're going to present to Is Riley still with us? Did Riley leave? She might be out eating cake. But is she out there? Okay. Tell her that we have a coin for her. Tell her to come back. Run over here right quick. Okay, is Reagan here and Grant Kilgore? Yeah, Reagan's here. Grant, make it. Okay, well then Reagan will work it. I will let Reagan introduce herself. We talked about this. I'll tell you how she is here. I've called Kevin Yates, our chief of police, to present this flag to our oldest veteran. Kevin made a really good suggestion, and he said, well, I'll do it if you want me to do it. But he said, I think it might be more appropriate. We have a former police officer that is now the town planner that was in the military, and that would probably be better for her to present this. So that's what we did. We're going to take just a second. Riley, please come back. Come up.
Oh, boy.
We have a coin we want to present
Here we
you.
go.
Hang Buy anything you
Say,
want.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anytime a man offers you money, take it. All right, thank you. Thank you again. Thank you very much. Reagan Walsh.
It's a little crowded. I'm Reagan Walsh, originally from Wise, Virginia. I was born here, but my father joined the military straight out of J.J. Kelly. And so we spent our entire life traveling the world and everything. And so once I became of age, I tried college, didn't work. And so I decided to join the Army. Spent 10 years in the Army, 4 years active duty, 6 years in the reserves. Best time I had was at the 82nd Airborne, so airborne all the way. Do you want to go ahead and... This should have been folded appropriately, but we can do that later. Mr. Gillum, it's my honor to present you with this flag that was flown over the United States Capitol building. It's even more honorable for me to be able to present this to you because it's your generation, you and my father's generation, that instilled the values in me through my time in the United States Army. So I'm very thankful for everything that you have done for your country, for your state, and for the town of Wise.
Thank you. Lou, will you help me get him back to this chair? Sure. We will leave this one a little later. Mr. Burns, thank you again. Thank you very much.
Appreciate all of it.
If you're interested, on the table over there, it's large, been blown up more, is a picture of all the draftees in 1942 from this area down in Norton getting on the train. Burns is in there going to basic training. And I think the date was December 22nd, 1942. You may, if you have some relatives here, you might just see a picture of one of your relatives because it's a large group.
Thank you. Another thing that we did when we were talking about having a Centennial was to have a beauty contest. And we're very proud to have our Miss Centennial here. Now, before we go on, since both of us are standing here, I need to clear the air on one thing. I need to make sure you all are fully understand and don't get confused.
We know who won the pageant.
And this is Miss Centennial. So I didn't want there to be any confusion with that. Or with any picture that Bonnie takes, you all will know who's who. So I have talked to Mackenzie and her mom several different times. I think she's going to do a great job representing the town of Wise for the next year. And I told her out front, I said, listen, I'm going to ask you to do many, many things. And you pick what you want to do and what you don't want to do, but we would love to have you at every event that we have for the next year going forward. So at this time, let's please welcome our new Town of Wise Miss Centennial, Mackenzie Stallard.
Hello everybody, I'm Mackenzie Stallard. I'm 16. I'm a senior at Central High School and a cosmetology student at the Wise County Career Tech Center. And I just recently won Miss Wise Centennial, the first ever, and this is really special to me. I've grown up in Wise, I've lived here my whole life, and I just want to thank the town for giving me this opportunity, and I'm just so thankful to be here.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Wise Centennial. Yes. And we had 35 girls in that pageant, and it was a success, and it was a lot of fun, and they did a great job. And Jennifer Mullins, somewhere here, I've seen her. Sturgill, she's probably outside, but this lady, Miss Wills, helped do a whole lot with it too. But most of the pageant was done by Jennifer, and she did a fabulous job. So I want to thank her. Next. We're proud to have organizations in the town of Wise, and one that we have that's been here a long time is the Kiwanis. So I'd like to ask Dennis to come up and speak on behalf of Kiwanis. He's currently the president of Kiwanis, and I'll just let him tell you kind kind of what Kiwanis is about and being part of Kiwanis in the town of Wise. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, sir.
What a group. It's an honor to be here representing Kiwanis. I've been the president of the local club here in Wise, going on the 3rd year now. And it's been an eye-opener for me to learn about the areas we represent. I just want to start out, we're known as the best kept secret. It seems like Kiwanis has been around a long time, but not many people know of it. And just to give you a little background, Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world one child and one community at a time. It's originally founded in Detroit, 1915. When I was asked to join, I looked up the history of it and realized it's from my own stomping grounds in Detroit. I'm kind of a transplant here, but it meant a lot to me to actually see what started in Detroit and became international. They started out with the name the Supreme Lodge Benevolent Order of Brothers. It's too much to get out. So later, within a year, they changed it to Kiwanis. Kiwanis is from a Native American language that means to build, or we build. And it was originally businessmen in Detroit that got together and says, there's got to be a way we can give back to the community. And it's all about giving back to the community. Within a year, they became an international Kiwanis Club of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And if you're from, know Detroit at all, Ontario is right across the river. So it made sense, that they reached out. And but 1915, it didn't take long for it to spread. And as 1919, they changed from building networking to focus on service to children. So it was only 4 years they finally evolved from networking system to for business people to know each other, to actually reach out to the community and especially focus on children. Children, everybody knows, is our future. And if you don't take care of the children, they're not going to take care of you later. So today the Kiwanis clubs are nearly 80 nations wide in geographic locations, so they cover the globe very quickly. Kiwanis International office is in Indianapolis, Indiana, which gives the U.S. an opportunity to actually work from Indianapolis to reach out all over the globe to international clubs. We have Kiwanis International this last year was actually held in Denver, their convention. So it brings people from all over the world to the U.S. With the same common goals. So the Kiwanis Club of Wise was organized on September 3rd of 1946 and chartered the next month, October 21st, 78 years ago. It's just hard to believe, 78. I'm not that old yet. Some of us appreciate that. But to realize that this all happened just shortly before my birth. Sponsored by the Kiwanis Club of Norton, which celebrated its centennial a few years ago. It was 2 or 3 years ago we had their celebration of 100 years. So each club has an opportunity to sponsor other clubs. And I know Jeff was instrumental in sponsoring several clubs in this area, in Southwest Virginia. So we've got representation pretty much everywhere. I did a little more history too, just to look up some of the people that organized the club in '46. President was Ben F. Kennedy. Maybe that's somebody that you recognize the names? Big Wiggly? Okay. And he apparently held it for a couple of years, and then E.D. Vickers in '48, Virgil Kraft in '49. I mean, these are some names that I recognize, and I didn't even have lived here all my life. I am going on 37 years. Let's see, Luther Addington, H.J. Kaiser, Kraft, McElroy, Hamilton, Knox, Douglas Baker, Preston Davis, Cantrell, Jennings, Ashbury. So, the list goes on. If you're interested, I have more of the history here. But I'm just very honored to be able to follow in the footsteps of these kind of people that made this town what it is over the years. Just some of the things that we've done here with the Wise Club. Participates in service projects and provides outreach to several charities with a focus on the children in the area. I've got handouts on the table outside if you are interested. That Trifold has a lot of information listing the type of things that we do help out. One of the bigger ones is sponsored through memorials and endowments through the college at Wise for scholarships. I think we give out 2 or 3 scholarships a year for that. The club has sponsored the Key Club at Central High School and the CKI Club. Used to be referred to as the Circle K, but now it's CKI at the college. The annual Town of Wise Christmas Parade is one of our biggest things that we sponsor. Again, it's all focused around the kids and seeing them have a good time. It was tough during the COVID shutdown that we had to cancel, but we got back on track and everybody's having a good time with it. And we have Mr. Wills here, Mr. Santa Claus, actually here helping us and looking to get more involved again. No. So fundraisers, we typically hold fundraisers. The last few years had the spaghetti dinner as a starting and kickoff for the Fall Fling. That's going to be on the 11th of October over at the Baptist Church. And we're doing the pictorial books that are for sale out on the table also. If you can help with that, that's the 3rd publication of that book. It shows a lot of the history people might relate with or even be in that you can share with family and friends. And to close, if interested in becoming a member, feel free to contact any club member. We don't want to be the best kept secret anymore. We want to be able to identify with people and give them the opportunity to enjoy the things that we've enjoyed in helping others. Thank you.
Yes, we'll let Betty go. Ken, Betty, thank you for being here. I understand. When we started this back in January, we started talking about what we would do. And I talked to Fletcher Dean, and I asked Fletcher to do a story on Survive, the town of Wise survived. He developed something that I'll tell you about in just a few more minutes, and he wasn't able to do that at the time, but he wrote a poem, and it's called Whispers of Wise, and we have Ava Elkins that's going to read the poem that Fletcher wrote, Whispers of Wise. So let's welcome Ava to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ava Elkins. I'm a senior at Central High School. So I got my words backwards. I'm nervous. Jan asked me to read this poem for you all. I do theater with her. She asked me about last week to do it, so I hope I'm a good public speaker. But that's beside the point. I would like to take a moment to recognize all the amazing, beautiful faces here that helped put this together, just being a part of the community of Wise. It's just an honor to be here, and I'm glad we have the opportunity to realize what a beautiful, beautiful, fortunate place we live in. So this is Whispers of Wise. On the top of the mountain where the bluebirds sing lies a town called Wise, where the past takes wing. From the trails of the ancients to the Cherokee song to the settlers who came where they felt they belonged. In 1874, a name was bestowed, later a tribute to Henry, where the brave heart strode. Then the railroad arrived, and the promise was clear. It brought hope to the people as connections grew. In the heart of the coal fields where miners toiled with grit and purpose, their spirits unspoiled. Through the dust and the darkness, they carved out a way, building lives in the shadows by the light of the day. Through trials and triumphs, the town did what's right. It learned to adapt and move forward with pride. In the far southwest, Wise now stands as a beacon, a symbol of light, a true mountain Eden. Its college stands proud, a cavalier of bright dreams, where knowledge flows like clear mountain streams. It fuels art and music, and culture takes flight. In the heart of Wise, the future shines bright. So here's to the people, the stories they weave in the tapestry of time, in the dreams they believe. On top of the mountain, not content to survive, 100 years old, the town's legacy thrives. Thank you.
present Ava with a Centennial coin for being part of our Centennial today. Thank you. You did a great job. Okay, we're going to recognize some distinguished citizens in the town of Wise. And the first one, you know, and it's kind of like talking about a distinguished citizen. Everybody already knows them. Everybody already has it. But I want to read something right quick, and you're going to know who this is. Carol Dale. Is he with us? Is he here with us? Oh, there he is. I thought I saw you earlier. Okay. Carol Dale grew up in Wise, Virginia, where he attended J.J. Kelly High School. He was a standout football player. After graduation, he attended Virginia Tech, continued to play from 1956 to 59. During his college career, he was named second team All-American, and in 1958, first team in 1958, and in first team in 1959. Before moving on to the National Football League, he continued with a distinguished career in the NFL, where he played for the Los Angeles Rams, Minnesota Vikings, and is best known for his tenure with the Green Bay Packers, where he helped the Packers win 3 NFL championships, 2 Super Bowl titles. Carroll played in the Pro Bowl, is in the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame, and a member of the National Football Family. After retirement, his impressive football career in 1973, Dale and his wife returned to Wise, where he served for 21 years at UVA Wise as the Director of Athletics. The name Carol Dale carries a great deal of admiration and notoriety throughout the region and beyond. The Carol Dale Invitational Golf Tournament at UVA Wise is a way to honor him for all that he has done to our beloved college. He has been instrumental in not only the athletic program, but to the entire college. I will also add, he's also been an inspiration to many people, many students, people that have never really met him or talked to him. He still provides an inspiration to the people in this town and this community. Carol, I'd like to get you to come up. If you want to say a few words, you're welcome to. And I'd also like to present you with a Centennial coin.
Thank you, Senator. It's my privilege to be here, and I was just thinking that my dad's mother was a Gillum. Betty is a relative on the Dale side. And so in high school, I'd come home and say, "Mom, so-and-so is cute." "No, your cousin." So I was fortunate to go to Norton. I found this fine young lady named Patricia. She's bossy, but she was half wit and half strength.
Well done.
Carol Dale. Bonnie has somebody that she's going to introduce at this time. So
this would be Don Green. Don Green may or may not be here. I don't think I've seen him. But anyway, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He is, let me get the right paper. Don is the executive director of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and he's been in that position 24 years. The Napoleon Hill is very generous to everybody in Wise and all around the area, and he draws people here from not just the United States but international. So Don does a real good service. So he's not here, and I'm sorry about that. But anyway, thank you.
okay, the next person we want to recognize is Mac Shute. And is Mac with us?
Yep.
Okay.
Mac is here.
Mac's here? Okay. All right. Mac has a 40-year career record of coaching baseball, 631 wins and 173 losses. He has a winning percentage of .784. He's a member of the VHSL Hall of Fame. Mac has the second highest number of wins in Virginia. No one has more hardware than Mac Shute. He started coaching in 1970 and built the baseball program at J.J. Kelly from the ground up. Mac won a record 8 championships, 3 runner-up trophies, 18 Region D titles, 22 Lonesome Pine District trophies in his 33 years at the helm. As many have stated before, Mac is known to refer to a quote from NFL's great Bill Parcells when discussing the coaching philosophy, and that is, you are what your record says you are. Mac, shoot. Is he going to come up?
Come on, man.
Yeah. You want me to come back and give you a centennial coin? They tell you never miss a chance to speak or miss a chance to be on TV. Max, shoot.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Wise has been my town. Throughout the years, I've had probably 50 offers to go other places, from near Washington, D.C. or close to Knoxville. But I never thought about leaving Wise. I think the key to success is having a passion for what you do. I never asked the principal how much money I was going to get. I finally found out it was $300 a year. I never worried about it. But I love to teach history and government. That's what I miss the most. Academics most important to me. But winning baseball games, the key to it is being able to teach kids how to play. You don't win baseball games with athletes. You may win track meets, but you don't win baseball games. You win baseball games with players, and you have to develop players. Develop. And your whole life has to revolve around that. You know, I mean, when I coached 12 months a year, 6, 7 days a week. And you know, that's a lot to do. But you have to be able to develop. And I think, you know, you can beat around the bush about teaching this, teaching that, and coaching. The key to coaching is WINS. That's the key. It takes care of the money problem. It takes care of people being happy. Winning is the name of the game. I saw an advertisement the other day about this guy's a politician. He said, "It's about winning, stupid." And I gave a speech about 3 months ago at a baseball clinic in Washington, near Washington, D.C., and wanted me to speak on winning. That's what I told them, exactly what I'm telling you. Winning is about developing players, and you have to be able to do it. But I love Wise. Wise is my town. Nowhere else. And I think we did a pretty good job.
There you go. Take that.
Right now, we're going to recognize Robin Dotson. Mr. Robin Dotson. I have known Robin in a lot of ways. He's right now he's on town council and he represents Wise well. He's in real estate. He has had successes after successes. 8 state championships. what impressed me so much was something I read on Facebook recently. And Robin had seen Mac tags, and he got a picture of each one of them had 8 state championships. So Robin wrote the biggest tribute to Mac, but also all of those qualities that Mac's a lot older than Robin, though, you know. But Robin said how much he admired Mac, and the traits that Mac has, he worked on to develop his successes that he's had. And when you have success after success after success, you've got good players, but you have developed those players. And without a good coach, you're not going to develop those players. And I know there's programs going back to middle school to develop these students. And so I'd just like to give my heartfelt congratulations. Okay, excuse me.
Well, thank you all very much. I feel honored and blessed. Following up one of my childhood heroes here, and Mr. Carroll Dale. And I've been a Green Bay Packer fan since I guess I was about 5 years old. And that was about the time Carroll was playing in those Super Bowls. And never forget the impression he made on me. I think I was about 12 years old, and at church. And Carroll signed the program for me that day, Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all those things will be added to you. And ever since that moment, Carroll Dale's been, one of my heroes that I've tried to pattern my life after in a lot of ways. As far as Coach Shoup goes, I played baseball for Coach Shoup. If you played baseball in Wise, it was a brotherhood. It didn't care. It didn't matter if you played for Mac Shoup in 1970 or you played for Mac Shoup in 2000. You always had that bond. And I see a few people out here that played for Mac, and we like to tell our Mac stories. And the thing about it is they never change very much, the sayings he said. But, as a young man playing sports, we always wanted to please our coaches. And we never thought twice. We listened to what they said, and we felt like, that was the way to do things, whatever the coach said. And of course, Mac, he taught me how to win, and how important giving your best was. I don't see him here, but Jim Dotson was my high school football coach, and his wife June's up here, and Jim lives right in front of me now. But great men like that have helped develop and pattern a lot of young lives here in Wise, and I'm just very appreciative for what they've done. As a basketball coach, I tell people that there is a support system better than the people of Wise, Virginia. And every time somebody sees me, they say, "You gonna win it this year?" And my first reply is, "Well, if we get a little bit of coaching, we might have a chance." But they like to put pressure on me, and I guess I try to live up to that. And I've been blessed. I got some parents here that I've coached their child. I've got one of my players standing right over here, so Hannah Sager. And I'm born and raised in Wise, right up the road here on Virginia Avenue. They honored my dad yesterday, Belton Dotson, at the ceremony, the Living History Museum. So I'm just, very proud to represent you all, and want to let you know that I never want to let the town of Wise down in any way, and just thankful to be be here today. Thank you all.
We, I looked around the room and we talked about this, and Bonnie and I mentioned it. We said, we could sit down and talk for 2 or 3 hours about people in our town, and we're going to forget somebody. We're going to leave somebody out, or we're going to leave somebody that we hadn't thought about. And just sitting there listening to Mac Shoup and Robin Dodson, I thought, from a teaching viewpoint, I thought of Mr. Pretty, Lucian Pretty. And we never leave Mr. Pretty out, but he's always in our heart as well. Another person that's here with us today that we could have talked about that has a fascinating story. When I sat and talked to him one time a few years ago, I was in disbelief. I actually went home after I talked to him and learned a lot, and told my wife, Mary Dora, I said, let me tell you about Lou Ellswick. Do you know his story? So Lou, you're another one. Thank you. And you have made an impact on the town life. So we didn't leave you out. It's just, we're waiting. You will be talked about the next time we do this Centennial. So, guaranteed, we'll have you first on the list. Bonnie and I were kidding each other the other day. We said, I guarantee next time we'll be able to do this a whole lot better. So, next person is Janet Thompson. Janet has always called Wise home. She lives here, she works here, she's invested in the area, and invested with her heart, her soul, and her mind. Janet was a teacher from 1977 to 2011, where most of that time was spent at J.J. Kelly. Always very active and going above and beyond to make her students the best they could be. Janet won 7 state one-act titles, won 4 forensic state titles, and was runner-up in each of those 4 different times. When Janet retired in 2011, she didn't stop and is still going and giving back to her school, students, community, and town. And I'll tell you, those who know Janet Thompson knows she will never stop. Janet, I'd like to get you to come up. Present you with some tips.
I'll say one thing, 2
Okay.
things. Well, first of all, my husband is in a little trouble. I didn't know this was happening. So thank you all so much. I will say this. Being in a lineup with Mac Shoup, Robin Dodson, all the people that coach in this town is really quite phenomenal. So I take that as a thank you and a blessing. Having the opportunity to work with students in theater has been my passion, really. I did this when I was 13 years old at the Free Will Baptist Church. I taught Sunday school, and we always, no matter where I've been, I've always done musicals or plays or something, because I truly believe in the power of teaching people that you can do anything you want to do. You just got to work hard at it. And that's what happens with my theater kids. I've never had tryouts for being in the club. They come from all walks and ages and talents, and somehow or another the magic happens and they work together, get the bug, and we have won some titles. And it is great. Winning is not everything we say, but it sure is better than losing. And so we have been blessed to have, I particularly have been blessed to have fabulous community. You all have always supported us, put our names up, even when people are saying, what do y'all do? And you're in a lineup with something. But it's been fun to take a Wise Virginia to Charlottesville many, many times, and a phenomenal 30-year powerhouse once upon a time was beaten by a little old school called J.J. Kelly High School, of which I was honored to be the coach. And he didn't know me from anyone, and I knew him plenty. I had been there more than once underneath that tutelage and paid very close attention. He was walking up the auditorium, and I was walking down to get the award, and he said, not knowing I was there, he said, "Where is this J.J. Kelly High School?" And many years later, he knows where J.J. Kelly High School is. And he also knows the power of Wise Virginia. So thank you all.
Well, this is going good. Again, thanks everybody for being here.
It's not over.
I know it. I had to rehydrate. As I mentioned earlier, Fletcher I talked to him in January, and I told him, I said, Fletcher, something I'd like for you to do for us. For our Centennial, I'd like for you to come up with a Wise Survived. And I said, he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm thinking, go to 1924, find out what happened, and say Wise survived. And go to 1925, find out what happened in the area, the state, the country, or the world, and then say Wise survived. And I said, kind of put that in a little story, or a bullet point, just a thing. So he thought about it for a while, and he called me back, and he said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. That's kind of hard. Let me work on it. And I said, okay, great. So he did. He took some time. And he said, I'm retiring at the end of May. And he goes, I'll write the story, I'll come to Wise, and I'll read the story. And he said, I've not got it yet, but I'll promise you, because I'm on to him all the time. I'm calling him, can you do it? Can you do it? How's it going? Let me tell you another thought I had. So this is how it went back and forth. So Fletcher retired from Dow Chemical. If you've ever read anything from Dow Chemical in the last 25 years, Fletcher wrote it. And he used to work for Tennessee Eastman, and then he moved to Midland, Michigan, where he's been a speech writer and writer of everything that Dow puts out. He retired at the end of May. In the first week of June, he developed a severe case of whooping cough. His vocal cords become so inflamed, he had to be hospitalized 2 different times. He's not able to talk. He still has problems. He's better now than he was. Now his plan this summer was he also takes pictures and puts them in big frames and goes all around that part of the country and sells his artwork. And that's what he'd look forward to doing. And he's not left the house. So he's not been able to do it. He was so sad that he was not able to attend and be here with us today. But he gave me something, and he wanted me to read about him. And I'm going to read a story that was the end product of what we're doing. But before he wrote the story, he said, I'm not going to be able to write the story. I don't feel like good enough to write it. It's just not coming to me. I can't get creative. I'm sorry, this thing has really got me down. But I wrote you a poem, and you just heard the poem by Ava Elkins. So he wrote that, and I said, okay, great. So I guess in writing the poem, 2 or 3 days later, he sends, check your email. So I checked the email, and he had the story, Wise Survived. And he said, I would like for you to read that story for me. And I said, okay, I'll do it. I said, I'm not going to read the poem. I feel comfortable reading the story. I don't feel comfortable reading a poem. And he said, okay, fine. And I said, all right, so we will do that. And I said, what do you want me to say about you before? And this is what we put together. First of all, Fletcher is my first cousin. We both share a great-grandfather by the name of James Taylor Adams. He once initiated an effort to form a college in Wise that pulled in people like L.F. Addison, Joe Smitty, in a failed attempt that preceded Clinch Valley College. He was a writer and a collector of books, and when Clinch Valley was finally formed, James Taylor Adams donated all of his books to help build the first library. Fletcher also has a great-great-grandfather, which I found was very interesting, especially with the town of Wise, and this is why he wanted this read. It's on the other side of the family, the Dean side. W.H. Dean lived from 1820 to 1901, who was once our town's founding father. He was one of the first of 4 appointed justices of the peace. He was the first teacher in Wise County, the superintendent of the building committee for the town's first courthouse, and according to the L.F. Addington's History of Wise County, laid out the original town of Gladeville. A lot of people called him Squire Dean, and he had one of the most beautiful farms in the county up Guest River at a place that was called, and is still called, Dean Bottom. Fletcher is a native to Wise. He has a bachelor's in English from University of Virginia at Wise and an MFA in professional and creative writing from Western Connecticut State University. So I will now like to read the story of Wise Survived that he wrote. Bear with me. I tell people, I've been on council since 1990. And I feel real comfortable going to council meetings. And I feel real comfortable talking to all of you all about the town of Wise. I get very excited about it more than anything. I love the big glades. I love the baseball fields. I love the town of Wise. I love making it grow. And one thing I like more than anything else is building stuff. And I said, so this is really good. So I'm so excited. I was so proud to work with Bonnie on this Circle of Memories. And then Fletcher said, I want you to read the story of Wise. And I went, you gotta be kidding me. I said, no, I can't do that. So I've worked with it. I've read it. My wife has it memorized. So I read it so many times. So here goes. So bear with me if I miss a word or stumble. So we'll go. Okay. For Fletcher, Wise survived. Two simple words that portray a century of growth and change, upheaval and despair, progress and evolution. 100 years after it was officially incorporated as the town of Wise, and 160 after it originally established in 1884, Wise is a survivor. 100 years may not seem like a lot. There are places in this world, in Africa for instance, that have seen continuous habitation for more than 5,000 years. Even in the Americas, there are communities that have seen 1,000 years of constant habitation. But in Virginia, to the best of my knowledge, there are only some 50 towns that were incorporated earlier than Wise. That's 50 out of 189. Many haven't made it. Economics, mismanagement, the fickle faith of geography, the list of why some communities fail is as long as your imagination. But through the years, through 100 years, Wise survived. It survived the stock market crash and the Great Depression, just 5 years old at the time. The town, like many small towns across the region and country, was shaken by the Great Depression. The impact wasn't felt immediately, not like it was in the country's industrialized communities and financial hubs. Most of the area around Wise was, of course, heavily agrarian then, and many people had their own farms and crops. Families were in many ways, at least partly self-sustaining them. They knew the hardship of living off the land, a land that was difficult in the best of times. But the problem that confronted our ancestors during the Great Depression was not supplying produce for market as ours is today, but simply wrestling a living with the stubborn wilderness, growing enough to keep your own families nourished. As a result, the initial crash wasn't as bad here, but as they say, it all rose downhill eventually, and even Wise was affected. It was hard enough to make a living in the mountains. The Great Depression simply hosted misery on top of hardship. Mostly the Great Depression impacted the coal industry, which has long played such the pivotal role in the region's economic roller coaster. Suddenly, the demand for coal was cut in half. The coal-producing regions of Appalachia were hit hard with growing unemployment and dwindling money. But Wise survived. With the help of the Civilian Conservation Corps and the Workers' Project Administration, it began to thrive again as the 40s began. World War II in many ways helped, at least for a while, mitigate the losses of the Great Depression. A world at war needs supplies, energy, and this region answered the call. While so many other Americans were called to war and to fight, a lot of our ancestors were busy mining and supplying coal and timber for the arsenal of democracy. Coal was the primary energy source for the country then, fueling an industrial output that the world had never before seen. But if you know how this story ends, the cycle didn't last long. You simply can't have a boom without a bust. And ours came around again in the 1950s. Coal, which played such a vital role in saving the world from tyranny, was once again the thorn instead of the rose. Even though coal had been the country's largest source of energy throughout much of the history, in Appalachia, primary coal-producing region, dark clouds were already on the horizon. Two events, in particular, colluded to hammer the Appalachia region in the 1950s. First, cheap petroleum began its rise as a fuel source, taking market share and jobs away from the coal fields. Second, Coal mining itself was shifting away from the deep mines to open pit and surface mining, especially in western states like Wyoming. Fast forward to 1998, and you see the region's share of production had fallen by more than half and it continues to slip to just 27% by 2018. Unemployment blossomed through the decades and created something the academics called the Appalachia diaspora. Others just called it the Hillbilly Highway. The name doesn't matter as much as the result. And the result was a lot of people, unable to feed themselves and their families, left the region. They became economic refugees into cities like Detroit, Dayton, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati, looking for the steady work and prosperity that eluded them here. It's sometimes said that Appalachia imports capital but exports people. And it's certainly true in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. During that time, Appalachia lost nearly 20% of its population, and yet Wise survived. It not only survived, unlike most towns, Wise was thriving. The town's population actually grew nearly 30% in the 1950s and a whopping 66% in the 1960s. How did it survive? How did it sustain itself through so many boom and bust cycles? The promise and pull of the big cities. The easy escape on the Hillbilly Highway. Let me suggest three things. Three things that are so tightly linked together, it's hard to tell where one begins and the other ends. First, Wise has benefited greatly by being the county seat. It's hard to overestimate what a stabilizing base that provided in terms of revenue, people, and intellectual capacity. Never forget, there was an effort when the railroads first arrived to move the county seat to Tacoma. I shudder to think what Wise might look like today if that had occurred. Second, I believe the town owes a lot to the survival of that little college on Darden Drive. I don't think it's a coincidence that the college arrived just as most of the region was suffering historic population loss. The college provided a base, an anchor, as education often does, that served as a lifeline in stormy economic times. I know most trace the college roots to 1954. Fewer know and remember what's now University of Virginia's College at Wise benefited greatly from at least three earlier efforts to locate a college here. The dream of the mountaintop college and the many blessings that bloomed from that endeavor was long in the making. And that brings me to the third aspect, which I believe most of all has sustained Wise through 100 years, and that is its people. It took dreamers to envision a town here on the top of this mountain. It took dreamers to envision a college. It took dreamers to see beyond the ordinary and make Wise what it is today. But it also took and continues to require a heck of a lot of doers, people who put a lot of their personal equity, sweat, and pride in Wise. There's a saying, and I think it's appropriate for Wise as it turns 100. There's a saying that the world needs dreamers and the world needs doers, but above all, the world needs dreamers who do. Wise survived because of its unique and persistent collection of dreamers and doers, and it will continue to survive and thrive because dreamers and doers know that Wise is, and it's our motto, the place to be. Thank you, Fletcher. Okay, at this time we're shifting a little bit to the next section of our celebration and our event today, and we're going to have stories that people are going to talk. Now, unlike me and the ones I just read, we want you to keep it a little bit shorter time. So we like to ask everybody to keep it to 3 minutes or less. And the first one that we have is Bonnie Akers. I think it's going to be renaming Wise. Is that the one you're doing?
No, I'm talking about Wise.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm not talking about.
Okay. That's what's on this picture. Remember. Okay.
All right, is Cheryl Marshall in here?
Yes, Cheryl is here. Cheryl, you want her to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheryl and I are gonna. Oh yeah, come on up here.
Okay.
Well, the first thing, let me correct Kaner. My name is spelled A-K-E-R. There is no S on there.
I'll mark that out.
All right, thank you. Okay. Cheryl's coming over, and Cheryl and I have worked on the Wise Business Association and the Wise Fall Fling since 1980. And you talk about dreamers and doers, I think we had a group of dreamers and doers.
Yes, we did.
The Business Association, a lot of you remember Dick Davidson and Phyllis. Phyllis had the country couple. And Phyllis and I were neighbors and friends and buddies, and so we said, you know, well, she'd been in business since 1980, and we started the Clapboard House in '79. So I was teaching at the time, but I took a leave of absence, a year, but I didn't go back for 15 years. But anyway, Phyllis and I really, Buford Sturgill was our first chair of the Business Association. And we didn't just do work, we bonded and we had a good time. And everybody worked together and everybody liked each other. But at the time, we got the Business Association going, and we said, you know, we need a festival. So we tried a spring fling, we liked that name, fling. And then we tried a fall fling, and it was so good, we just kept going. So I'm gonna let Cheryl talk.
Well, I don't really know how many years Fall Fling's been going now.
Since 1980, but
yeah.
one little secret, well, I told you we had a good time. We met over at the house, the dining room on Nottingham, and
well, that number 13 got us, didn't it?
we skipped 14. We did skip 14.
Yeah, but we did have a spring fling.
We did have
So
spring
that
fling.
really made it honest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes, Fall Fling was great, and the community is what made it so great. And we all worked, but it was a lot of fun, and it makes you want to do it again.
Well, not hardly. But we did all the work. We did have some monetary support from the town, but we businesses. And the businesses, and really, I don't know how we got it off the ground. I don't know how we found the craft people. But they were around, and the first event, I said, Cheryl, I'll just line these up down Main Street, and you put the others up on the courthouse lawn. So, and our music, I would like to mention Debbie Sowers.
Yes.
I've got a picture of Debbie out there on the board, but Debbie did the music for a whole lot of years, and she did the music. We didn't have to worry about it. We gave her a certain amount of money, and she would have them sing in the morning and the evening, so we kept our budget affordable. And but when we had to move the bleachers for seating, you know who did it? Ray Lawson, Thomas Kennedy, Travis Kennedy, all the boys, all our boys, Mike, Ray's boys.
Can't even think of his name. Well, there's several people in the town that have helped over the years. Bill Dotton. Yeah.
Kennedy.
And
Valerie.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
We just really enjoyed it, but I will have to say we had a vision, and it's been a good vision, and you know, I have lived and breathed the town and the Fall Fling and the Business Association, and so anyway, Cheryl and I were two peas in a pod. She could do it as well as I did, and she knew what to do as same as I did. We were on the same page, Well, actually, all the crafters kind of just fell in line and started doing it themselves. They knew. Yeah, but if, when we grew, and you always have people that get contrary and complain, we had a smooth talker, and that was Mr. Lawson, Ray. We lost Ray, but he would go talk to whoever was complaining, and he would smooth things over. So anyway, it's been a good run. It has. It has indeed. And thank the whole community for making it that way, really. Well, I think it's our hope the Fall Fling will grow and continue and be better and better and better. Yes. And they did get the best of the best last fall, as well as last winter. So, by the Coalfield Progress, so that's something to be proud of. It is. And they did it without us, Cheryl. Yes.
Thank you all. Next, we're going to get Mr. Thomas Kennedy to come up and talk about ARH Hospital. Less than 2 minutes.
Hey, Thomas.
It's a little shorter, everyone.
My name's Thomas Kennedy, and I'm here to talk about the hospital property in Wise. I had a 25-minute presentation ready, and Kaner told me last night that he cut me down to 3 minutes, and because my mom took so long, cut shorter than I'm down another minute, so I gotta get started here. So, the United Mine Workers of America built the Appalachia Regional Hospital in 1954, and there was an original building that was built, which was made out of steel and concrete, that was very significant, and nobody knows that more than me because I've remodeled it. In 1974, the college had grown, or the hospital had grown and built on an east wing, and as we had talked many times today about the peaks and valleys in the economy, one might wonder the significance of the hospital. If you owned a business in 1997, you certainly understand the significance of the hospital when it closed down. And in 1964, and I'm jumping around all over the place here, in 1964, under the Kennedy administration, through the Appalachia Regional Commission, the government influxed a lot of money into the community to stimulate the economy. And at that time, it was changed from Wise General Hospital to the Appalachia Regional Hospital. And in closing in 1997, the hospital sat vacant and for sale for several years, and in 2003, it was auctioned off, and I became one of the partners along with Miss Rubel Fletcher and the late Paul Sonny Fletcher. We sat on the property for a couple of years, waiting for an opportunity. After the auction in 2003, the Coalfield Progress came up and interviewed us and asked us what our plans were for the property, and although we had several ideas, we didn't really want to reveal them at that time. And he said, "Oh, come on." He said, "I know y'all just didn't get together and decide to come up here and buy this place today." And honestly, that's about what happened. In 2005, the college had reached out to me. We had a housing problem, and we had 104% occupancy. We had kids in the motel rooms, and there's a lot of stress on that, and as everybody understands, it's important to keep the college growing. So in 2005, they asked me if we would consider doing student housing, which we did. And went to the town, worked with the town, and found out we had to go through 6 public hearings. And first thing we had to do was introduce the language to the town to permit the project. There wasn't any current language there. So I was at a board meeting at the college, And Don Pippin came up to me after the board meeting. We're getting ready to have our first public hearing. And he said, I sure hope you have your business in order because there's a lot of opposition showing up against you tonight. Or it was actually the next day. And I said, wow, I said, we're just introducing the language. I didn't expect that at that point. So I went home that afternoon and woke up the next day, and I had the brilliant idea, I probably better call Papa Joe Smitty. So I called Papa Joe Smitty the next day and took him up there, toured the project, and told him what I had in mind, and asked him if he would come out and support me because I needed some help. And he obviously did. And he showed up at the first meeting, and he was the first speaker, and he got up there and he said, you know, Thomas was considering putting in a old folks home, and I told him I felt like it'd be much better used if we did a student housing facility. He said, I would a lot rather have a lot of young, vibrant college kids living next to me as I had a bunch of old people. So anyway, the rest is history. It's been a student housing facility since 2005, and we're continuing to grow, and we're just very thankful to be part of the success of the town of Wise. Thank you.
You can tell Thomas is a Bonnie's son. That was a long 3 minutes. Okay, the next 3-minute speaker, Sharon Daniels. Is Sharon with us? I think she is. I think I talked to her earlier. And Sharon, you're going to talk about apples?
Apples.
For 3 minutes. Okay.
Probably not even 3 minutes.
Okay, great. You will be the best speaker. Yes. There you go.
Is it low enough? Can you hear me with this? Yes. Okay. I'm not from Wise. I'm from Powell Valley.
Oh, wait a minute then. I'm sorry. We'll move on.
I knew him when he was a student too. No, I worked here 33 years. The college was 8 years old when I started working here. CVC, UVA Wise. But I'm to talk about apples. Any of you remember wine saps, Yorks, Stamens, winter bananas, seek no further, June apples, Wolf Rivers? The list just goes on and on and on. And some of the names in Wise: Hopkins, Dowdy, Gillum, Mullins, of course, Green, Robertson, Osborne, Hicks, Wheatley's, Vickers, Robertson, Kilgore's. Those are some of the names of people who had apple orchards here. And then there's another whole list of all the people who worked in the apple business to help them do all that. But I've written a short story. The portion of Wise, now known as Ridgefield Acres, was blanketed 100 years ago by apple trees populating one of the local area's largest orchards. Once owned by the Vickers family, those acres now boast dozens of lovely homes and properties, and the public library and major hospital, now an apartment complex, was later built there. Much local land once was hillsides, treasured for apple production for the excellent soil drainage the trees needed. Eventually, many of those acres were leveled by coal mining, as marketing the coal under the soil was far more lucrative than selling apples. Apple production was a leading industry in the Wise area from the 1920s into the 1950s. As many as 300,000 bushels produced annually in that period before it was replaced by strip mining. Steep land was treasured and important, but that meant tractors could not always easily maneuver on it. Most of the mowing of orchard grass, spraying for destructive insects, and picking crops were done by hand or even horse-drawn equipment. For many families, the apple business was not only a livelihood, but a way of life. A life which revolved around the seasonal needs of an apple orchard. Some families employed workers full-time and supplemented as needed by part-time people, some working for 50 cents an hour. Red and Golden Delicious, Benhams, Fall Pippins, Romes, many other varieties were grown by 30 or more local families, Bakers, Bennett's, and Bevanses, through Slimps, Thompsons, and Wheatleys, supplemented by dozens of neighbors. Today, only one major grower and retailer remains in Wise, tending Cortland, Ginger Gold, Golden Delicious, Stamen, and Mutsu apples on Strawberry Mountain Road. That grower is Roy Mullins. He and his family sell their apples and many other fruits, vegetables, other locally canned products, and other food items at the Apple House out on Route 23 outside the town of Wise. Only a tiny additional handful of growers in the county tend fewer than a dozen trees apiece. One other large orchard where some 1,800 apple trees were originally planted 60 years ago is at Camp 18, a local correctional facility. Produce from that orchard feeds persons housed there and also is sold elsewhere, along with fish and other foods grown hydroponically in the facility's greenhouses. Pugs, located in the outskirts of Wise, carries the name of a well-known grower who once tended about 800 trees in 3 locations, in addition to his regular employment on the railroad. Many local families remember driving to Pug's Apple House each fall to purchase bushels of fruit to can, make into sauce, or store at home just for winter eating. The delicious aroma of apples permeated the very boards of that building for years on end. And now a few Red Delicious, Stamen, and Rome Beauty trees are all that still remain grown on that property. If there is an apple tree on your property, or 3 or 20 trees, you treasure the delicate perfume of the blossoms and the lovely sight of petals drifting in a spring breeze. Apples are not only eaten out of hand, they're used to make applesauce, apple butter, stacked cake, apple pie, fried hand pies, apple jelly, and fried apples to top hot biscuits. Consider these, and you know the treasure the local apple and industry once was.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Civil War. Brian Wills. Brian Wills.
All right. I really will keep it to 6 minutes. No. Once again. I just wanted to say, first of all, for the beard and everything, I was not really considered for Miss Wise, Town of Wise, Centennial. I just thought I'd go ahead and tell you that up front.
I know how you feel.
Yeah, the beard gets me every time because I can be Miss Chernobyl or something, but I couldn't be Miss Wise. All right, first of all, we are so happy to have you here and to think about history a little bit, and beautiful comments made. And Fletcher, a comment about misery on top of hardship really reflects the Civil War period here in Wise and the town of Gladeville. And I did want to make a couple of comments and then tell you that I will be speaking again on Tuesday night and doing a lot more, so more than 3 minutes or 2 minutes. So first of all, if you think about the swinging gate and the concept of the swinging gate, that's what this area was for the Civil War period of Southwest Virginia. And in many ways, the town of Wise is the latch. Because if you were going to get through Pound Gap and move toward the railroad in the Abingdon area, you were going to have to go through Pound Gap and then go through Gladeville and then move on toward Abingdon. If you were coming from that more central part of Virginia and then moving west, you'd have to go through Gladeville. And so much of the activity is one way or another, with this area serving as sort of a conduit for forces both Union and Confederate. That fits the region because there were Union and Confederate individuals in the region. So you didn't have a purely Confederate population, you didn't have a purely Unionist population, which meant that pre-war antagonisms tended to play out as well. Later on when you do the ghost tours, you're going to hear a little of that too. Some of how these pre-war antagonisms turn into wartime antagonisms, which turn into ghost stories. So think about all of that as well. I think on Tuesday I'm going to talk a little bit about the college. I've got some Carol Dale stories in there. You are so lucky to have a region with so many people. I grew up in Suffolk, Virginia on a peanut farm, but I spent a lot of my years here in Wise teaching at the college. And of course, the son-in-law of Papa Joe Smitty, one of the finest human beings that's ever lived. And I was so thrilled with the way that Reed did yesterday with Papa Joe's memory, and I know he was smiling from down above. So, if you want to hear a bit more about how the swinging gate and the latch serves as a story of Wise and Gladeville in the Civil War, come Tuesday, and then I'll also talk about a little bit of the history of the college.
Thank you. Very good, thank you. Next is, do we have Judy Pierce with us? Yes, she's going to talk about the Poor Farm and the Wise Inn for 3 minutes.
Get up.
Well, well, while you're coming up here, we'll get another speaker to speak. Take your time.
I'm not going to talk about the inn, although I do have a piece in this book on the inn.
Yes.
I feel like I'm walking the red carpet.
I think you are.
First of all, if you have not already seen it, I would like to encourage you to take a look at this booklet that Bonnie and others have put together. It's for sale out front. And I would also like to thank Bonnie for encouraging me to pursue my interest in the Poor Farm and the Poor Farm Cemetery. I'd also like to thank Brian.
Use the microphone.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm used to standing in front of a classroom and projecting, and I'd also thank Bonnie, Buy This, and I want to thank Brian Wills for the really diligent research he did for No Ordinary College, and I drew upon your book quite extensively in this piece on the Poor Farm. What I would like to ask you, Brian, is to dig deep into your research notes so that you and I together might be able to answer the one question that I set out to answer and I did not. There were 2 cemeteries, from what I know, at the Poor Farm. One was a Gillum cemetery, and it is my understanding that when the Science Building was built, which held up the construction for a while, because they had to relocate those cemeteries. They relocated the Gillum Cemetery, and Brian has extensively discussed that. Probably most of them to the Wise Cemetery. The big question is, what happened to the 40-odd bodies that were buried in the Poor Farm Cemetery? Where were those bodies reinterred, relocated, if they were? And I don't know. And I'm hoping that Brian one day can find out.
They're on the ridge toward Coburg on the hill above the
Okay,
gym.
that's a Stallard Cemetery up there.
No, they were buried on the college side.
On the college side of that fence, right?
All the way up through there.
Yep, and I've been up there and I've looked for those graves and I've poked around for them. There are no stones, there's no memorials, no plaques up there. What I would hope to see come out of this is that perhaps the college would acknowledge with a plaque the existence of the Poor Farm, those stone buildings out there, and the reinterment of the very poor people who died and were buried out there. And I would like to just tell you one brief story. I found out that there were 2 babies born out on Coburn Mountain on November the 1st, 1928. One baby was stillborn. His name was Eugene. And his body, his stillborn body, was buried out there at the poor farm. The other baby was born in a farmhouse on an apple orchard, Sharon, and she's sitting right behind you. My mother, Judy Gently Skeen Pierce, was the second baby born on Coburn Mountain on November 1st, 1928. One stillborn and one sitting right back there with just behind Sharon. I mean, 2 different stories, 2 different paths. And it kind of brings tears to my eyes when I think about a stillborn baby. His father didn't acknowledge him, who lies somewhere and we don't know where. And this very lovely woman back here who's my mother. So thank you, Michael.
Let me, can I? When we started asking people to write these stories, like Judy and the poor farm and Sharon and the apples, the stories needed to be told. And I had joined the Historical Society, so in my time up there, there's not a lot of traffic. I got in those old Appalachian quarterlies. So I pulled the story from Leomond, Richmond. Right now my mind's gone blank. But I pulled about 4 stories and compiled them in this book. And we used the title, Circle of Memories. And there will be no profit on this book. It's $15, $10 will go to the cost of publication, $5 will be donated to the Historical Society. So it's a good cause. And so we are doing it through the Wise Business Association, which also brought you the cakes today for everybody. So our logo is Together We Can. So anyway, thank you.
Next is Ernie Bico. Ernie's here. Ernie is going to talk about, we've asked Ernie to talk about the county seat. We alluded on it just a little bit earlier, Fletcher's story, that it was possibly suggested to move it to Tacoma. But Ernie will tell you a little bit more about it in less than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, my name's Ernie Benko, and I've got a short story to tell you, besides the 3-minute story. Is I teach sometime too, and the big problem is, are you teaching or learning, or are the people learning? This goes back to early. I was a real little kid, and my sister was too, and we had a little dog like a Chihuahua. It would come in the house, and it would go to the dining room and pee. Well, my grandmother did not like that at all, and she would come in and take that dog and rub its nose in the pee and throw it out the window. Yeah. Well, what did the dog learn? He learned to come in, rub his nose, and jump out the window. Anyway, Robbie Robertson is the one that gave me most of this information. And it's about Tacoma. Apparently, Tacoma was incorporated in March 1899. And it was first called Guest River. And the people were getting together trying to figure out what they needed to do and to call it. And there was a furnace in the room to keep the place warm. And it was made by Tacoma iron furnace. So they just call it Tacoma. And Tacoma was really aggressive in that particular time. It had a 30-room hotel called the El Dorado. It had a bank. It had farming land. It had 2 railroads. Had a railroad deposit. Had streets and avenues. At that time, the courthouse was glacial. And in Wise, Judge George Miller took a census and wanted the petition needed 100 free land holders that voted. The bill was sent to the General Assembly and the state legislature. A bond with $5,000 was held to move the courthouse to Tacoma. Judge Miller actually owned some property in Tacoma, and he thought he should have anything to do with it. So he asked the judge from Clintwood, Judge H.M. Jones, to sign it. Judge Jones was about ready to sign it. He was on his way over here, and he got threats that if he came over here to sign that, he may not make it back home. So he didn't do that. Judge Miller sat on the document for Tacoma to pick up the petition. He sent people to pick up the petition in November 1890. There were some other riders that followed his rider that went to pick up the petition. Well, they caught up with him, and they were all drinking and having a good time. Well, the judge's person, he said, got drunk instead and didn't get the petition. And the petition was in Tacoma, but they wanted it at the Wise Hospital, or the Wise Courthouse, but it really wasn't the Wise Courthouse. Josh decided that over the course that Clerk Lips signed the court order abolishing Tacoma's request. There were 2 other attempts to move the courthouse. One was Norton, one was Ramsey, and another one was Crane's Nest. But it never did happen. And one of the biggest reasons it didn't happen is because if you didn't have enough people to put money into it or make money off of it, it wasn't going to happen.
Centennial, well, thank you, school. Yes, you can spend it.
Gainer.
It'll pay your taxes.
We've got to interrupt for just a minute.
All right.
Excuse me. Bill Thompson just reminded me of something, and I really remember it well. I had stopped in Jan's, the shop, and Billy was in there, and we just started this Centennial, and we were brainstorming. I said, you know, I think we need to get a place and tell the memories that we have of Wise, that all of us have. So Billy's going to come take the floor right now.
All right.
3 minutes.
So yeah, I won't need 3 minutes. But this is a story. How many remember Carrie Alderson? You remember that name? Hey, I see a few. Yeah. So Carrie Alderson was this very enigmatic, just really exciting kind of person to be around when I was a kid. I remember she was tall of stature, you know, and she was very personable, a lot of fun to be around. And I remember particularly all the women would just start laughing, you know, every time they got around Carrie Alderson. She was a great storyteller. She had a lot of grit, right? She had a lot of grit, kind of a tall, strawberry blonde, and always dressed really well. She worked for a while at the Wise County National Bank, which was located right there in the block where Thompson and Linton has right now. Okay, so right there on the corner, that tall building has just been, you know, all the brick dust everywhere. The one with the corner chopped off. The Wise County National Bank was downstairs, and Carrie was in there one day, and she was working as a teller. When somebody walked in the door and walked up to him with a kind of a guy just kind of shuffling along like that, and he walked right up and he said, he pulled the gun out and stuck it in her face and said, "Give me all your money." So Carrie just went, "You fool, you fool." And she reached down and got her own gun and picked it up like that and pointed it in. That guy turned and hightailed it out the door. She shot him in the leg before he got out of the room. And then just as she turned her right and started heading down towards where Nels used to be, the town police arrested her and arrested him and took him to jail. So I just wanted to
That would have been a good story. After this part of what we're going to do today, we're going to sit around and just tell stories, and that would have been a good one to have had in that circle of memories as well. Let's see, Bill Dodson.
Bill had to leave,
Okay.
so.
Well, we'll let it go. We'll be good. He wanted to talk about the teenagers, and he said being a teenager and wise in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, he wasn't able to say a lot, so I'm sure he only had to talk about 30 seconds. So, Sheila Shue.
Sharon Pigeon will be doing that.
Papa Fitzstevens.
Sharon Pigeon.
Okay. All right.
Well, that's a tough act to follow, guys. I'm not sure I like my placement on the agenda here.
Well, you're good. You'll fit in anywhere.
Oh, yeah, right. Charming.
Yes.
I have my props here in my shop small bag. Shop small. Keep your community vibrant. Let's see if I have anything in here I could read, though. Bonnie asked me to write a memory or a memorial for my grandfather. He passed away in 1966, Ronald Franklin Stevens Sr. And I get a little emotional talking about my family, so let's give it a try. The only time I can remember seeing him dressed in anything other than a dress shirt and a tie, and usually sporting the fedora, was when he was terminally ill in bed. He was well known to have no visible expression on his handsome face, and I always thought he looked just like silent movie star Buster Keaton. At Fork Union Military Academy, where he was called Steffi, or Fitz, and the lack of facial expression was noted in the 1920 school annual. Quote, "He is no doubt the most able player on the baseball team. He knew the game from A to Z. My, how he could play ball. Never smiles. But in that serious nature, that makes him doubly reliable." In his postgraduate year there, the yearbook was even more enthusiastic in writing about Fitz. Quote, "He possesses a rifle on the right side of his anatomy and a cool, level head full of baseball sense. The youngster received his training throwing coal down the mountainsides in the great Southwest. His baseball career at Fork Union has been one of brilliancy. As a pitcher, he makes the best, for as yet he has never lost a game for the old red and blue." Known as Little Fitz, growing up in the household of his father, Fitzhugh Stevens, he became Fitz to everyone locally when he returned to Wise, which of course wasn't Wise at that time, we know. He married Myrtle May Dale and started a family of his own. By that time, his father had decided to follow the Southern horse racing circuit, and the son was primarily left to provide for the extended family remaining in Wise. His responsibilities even extended to his mother-in-law, Eliza Beverly Dale, who resided in the home. It is no wonder that the Fork Union prediction that he would become a surgeon fell short. But his love of baseball stayed until his last breath. He played for both love and money. He played with the local coal camp teams, beginning while he was still in school. He was a ringer, and he never worked in a coal mine. He played with the briefly famous Mose Solomon, who was called the Rabbi of SWAT, when he pitched for the 1920 championship Norton team, owned and managed by John Esser, who developed the Esserville Coke ovens. We all know those. They haven't been gone that long, it doesn't seem. Instead of medicine, he excelled at number crunching and became a successful co-owner of the Wise Vending and Music Company with his wife's cousin, Moody Dale. Although friends for life, at some point he and Moody divided their interests into separate entities, and Fitz's two sons, Ron and Don, went into business with their father, and then at some point went their separate ways into their own businesses. Additionally, he was an officer in the historic Inn at Wise. He served on the town council for 14 years and was mayor for 6 years. He ultimately resigned due to failing health before handing the leadership reins over to ED Bill Vickers. He was a sharp man of industry and tried unsuccessfully for years to convince the citizens of Wise to house a state alcohol sales store. He argued, and quite correctly, that such tax revenue would help sustain the town during the ups and downs, the cyclical times that always accompany coal mining. However, even his wife, Myrtle, a pillar of the Wise Baptist Church, opposed his attempts to gain support for the project. He was more successful with his efforts, combined with those of others, to get the University of Virginia to open a branch college in Wise. During his many years in town government, he worked with local activists who supported such a college. Before his passing, he pledged to pay the tuition of any grandchildren who would choose to attend school. His friends and business connections, both locally and from the school years, extended beyond our little town. They included such notables as H. Rowe Bartle, who became a chief executive in the Boy Scouts of America and served as a prominent mayor of Kansas City, and for whom their first convention center is named. I think he would have been pleased with the circular connection had he still been alive when his granddaughter graduated from law school in Kansas City. Even when they were very young, he encouraged all his grandchildren to be their best by giving them silver dollars whenever they brought their report cards for him to review as he sat on the front porch awaiting their walks home from school. Still a baseball player in his soul, he personally attended all the high school athletic games, often seeking a better view by standing on a large concrete block that rested outside Carroll Dale Stadium. How many of you remember that big block of concrete out there? When someone came to him about the plight of a high school classmate of mine who could not afford his leather jacket, Fitz quietly provided the funds for that directly to the school. He was a wonderful man, an excellent man of business, and a truly valuable local citizen. I'm sorry. He always worked for the betterment of his community through his active involvement in church, civic activities, and government service. We need more like Gilbert School. He left a loving and grateful family much too soon. Thank you, Poppy, for being such an example to us all. This is him with his 1920 award-winning team. Here's John Esser. Here's my grandfather, third in. And the first one on the edge is Moses Solomon. So This is quite an important thing in our family history.
That concludes our stories, but we are going to honor some people that have received a Hometown Hero award. And the first one that we have is Greg Cross. Greg received a Hometown Hero for his involvement with Chillin' and Grillin'. And Greg's going to come up and talk to us a little bit about Chillin' and Grillin' and a little bit about the Masonic Lodge that he's in.
Hello, everyone. It's quite humbling to be up here and speak after the acknowledgement of so many of their great community leaders. I'm honored to be here and be asked to speak. And I was honored when I was given the Hometown Hero Award by the town of Wise, and I don't know if I deserve it or not, but I sure appreciate it. Just speaking a little bit about the event that we have here in Wise. Chillin' and Grillin' the Glades is a passion of mine. We started this back in 2013, actually 2012, at one of the musical gatherings out here at the Glades, speaking with Kaner and your now town manager, Laura, and just talking about trying to bring an event like that to Wise, or trying to bring a barbecue event to Wise, and that's I've been cooking barbecue now since I think I started in 1980, cooking with my family, different political events, and coal company parties and picnics and such, and been catering barbecue for quite a while as a part-time thing. And found out about barbecue competitions and going to these barbecue events. I became a judge, a certified judge to judge these events, and traveled to several states doing that for several years, and I still continue to do that, and just love the festivals that I go to, and want to bring that type of festival back to Wise. And talking with Kaner and Laura and several other town leaders, we made that happen, and very proud of that event. It now has become a professionally sanctioned event. If you win our event, you actually, we got a proclamation from the governor's office, you're the state champion of Virginia if you win our barbecue event. If you win our event, you also go on to you can go to the World Championship. And we had this past year the current world champion and 2 former world champions competing in our event. We had people come from, I think this year was 11 different states were represented. People coming from New Jersey to Florida. We've had actually someone from Europe that came and competed one year at our event. And that's just the barbecue competition. It's a lot more than that. We also, with our partnership with the town of Wise, we have, it's listed as a barbecue and music festival. We have great music acts that the town helps us with. We have we used to have a 5K run. Actually, we did have a 5K run this year. It's been on again and off again with that, but the Grill Master 5K, and they have Kids Corner and different things for the people. And it's just been a great thing to do for the town. But we couldn't do that event without the partnerships that we formed here in the town. Whether it's working with the Baptist Church, or with Thompson and Lytton, or Farmers and Miners Bank, or for the use of the parking lots, or everything. It's just been a great partnership working with the Business Association, and I can't thank the guidance and suggestions and following the model that basically Bonnie and Cheryl and them set with the Fall Flame. That was a great model to have to go by. I don't mind a bit to steal great ideas, and so if we could, we did, we have. And I want to thank y'all for that and everything. It's always been wonderful. One of the hosts for our event is the Hogue Masonic Lodge here in Wise, and I'll speak a little bit about Hogue Masonic Lodge because the Hogue Lodge here in Wise has a rich history and a lot of ties with this community, with this town. We're actually 147 years old. We were formed back in 1877 when we received our charter. So in 3 years we'll be celebrating our 150th anniversary. And many of our community leaders have seen fit to become members of our lodge. Freemasonry is the oldest fraternal organization known in existence. It's based on the belief that every man has a responsibility to make the world a better place. And I think that our lodge here in Wise is, no place embodies that belief more than our lodge. We really do a lot for our community. A lot of things we don't ask for any recognition when we do it, but we have a large footprint on a lot of the things that are done, whether it's donating money to other organizations or other causes, whether it's building a ramp for somebody that may need it, a person that's sick at their home or an elderly person. We have a belief that we have to take care of our widows, our orphans, our elderly, and our children. You'll see blood drives that are sponsored by Masons and everything. So it's just a great organization. And we also have the Eastern Star, which is their female version of our organization. It's made up of the wives, daughters, sisters, mothers of lodge members. And you know, we couldn't, the old saying about behind every good man is a great woman, it's truth. We couldn't do what we do in our lodge if it wasn't for the support of our women. And I know several of the members here, whether it's Thomas or Jimmy or George or any of the rest of them, Kaner, all members of our lodge, and very proud of everything we've done. And we'll always continue to be active and try to help out in our community. Thank you all very much.
Okay, next one, Greg received a Hometown Hero Award in 2016. In 2023, we have a lady that is very involved with the children in our sports program in the town of Wise, and I'll let her come up and talk just a minute about what she did to become a Hometown Hero in 2023, and that was Miss Tammy Bates. Max Shoup is kind of known as Mr. Baseball in the town of Wise, and I'm going to tell you, this lady right here is known as Miss Baseball in the town of Wise. So, Tammy, we're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay.
30 seconds to a minute. I must not have ranked about the 3-minute people, because when he called me, he said 30 seconds to a minute. So I condensed everything down really fast. And I just want to say, first of all, I'm not a hero. I just, you know, this town, this community, everybody that puts into the local rec sports, that's the heroes. But long story short, I married a high school baseball player. And if you know me, I have never played sports in my life. So along the way, that guy, he had a passion for ball, and I fell in love with that same sport. And we had kids, they played sports. We have grandchildren now, 4 of them, and they're all in sports. But one of the biggest things that really put us where we are today is that Doug's story inspired me. He grew up tough. His family didn't have money. And they really, if you had to pay to play ball, Doug would never have been a ball player. So because of people like Max Shoup, and you know, I thought today as I listened to all these people talk about sports, honestly, this area is so heavily blessed with sports players. But anyway, people like Max Shoup who said, I don't care if you have money, you know, I just want you to come and I want you to play ball. And so he took a kid who came from nothing, and he took an interest in him, and he began to say, hey, listen, I need some trees planted and I need things done. And so Doug was that kid that grew up. He's the poster child of kids that don't have money, that came out and came out of poverty and made it. And he signed with Atlanta Braves 12th round, and none of that's important to him. You know, it is to us. We love it. But longest 28 years ago as president of Little League. Now today, because of people like Kaner, Mary Dora, Thomas, Larry and Sandra Adkins, Doug, myself, my daughter Brianna, we have all taken a very big interest in youth sports. And so now you will find going on, the town of Wise has really put a lot into the Wise Youth Complex, the Wise Sports Complex. And because of that, we now have, and have averaged for the last 4 years, 375 kids that come through the program. And they don't just come through the program. We are blessed because over 60% of those kids have come from poverty-stricken homes, and they pay zero to play ball. And so it's because of businesses in the town of Wise and the commitment from the town council and all of that, that we're able to do that. So, I just want to sort of say that, again, it's not anything that we do, truly, it's a God thing. He has blessed us to be able to be part of this community, part of kids' lives, and, I'm thankful for that. And I thank the town of Wise, and I thank everybody that is involved. Thank you.
She is truly a hometown hero. We've got a few other people, and I'm just going to acknowledge them because we've got a very special presentation I'm going to make in just a minute. And then we're going to let Lisa and her band come up here and play. But we've already talked about Bonnie Aker. Bonnie was a hometown hero in 2015 for the work that she did with Wise Fall Fling and the developing and helping put Wise on the map. Also in 2017, Ray Lawson received a Hometown Hero Award for some of the same thing, his community involvement, having a business in the town of Wise and being very instrumental with helping with Fall Fling and different groups and different organizations that we've done. Another one was Sue Cantrell. In 2021, Sue worked with the Wise County Health Department, made huge changes out there. She was very innovative in doing a lot of things that she did, so therefore she received a Hometown Hero for that. And the last one was Ted and Todd Barnett, received a Hometown Hero Award for cutting for the cause, and they cut hair and made donations and raised a lot of money, and people donated, and it was really a good event, and that helped. And I'll tell you something, one thing we talked about, and it was, we thought it would be fitting. This is extremely important to honor another hometown hero today. While we were here, we were honoring the past hometown heroes, and we talked to Bonnie, and I said, you know what? Let's present another hometown hero to an individual today. So I want to read a little bit about this individual. We're glad to have him here. They're with us. I've got it on my phone. Okay. This individual was born in Pound. He went to Pound High School. He lived all of his life in Wise County, except for when he worked in Detroit after high school and lived and worked in Richmond for a couple years. He went and was married to Marlene, his first wife. He had a business in the town of Wise. He was a business owner. It was an Atkins alignment for over 40 years. And he still has rental property at that same location. Mr. Bob Atkins was elected to the Wise County Board of Supervisors in 1998, and he still serves with that board today. He served as chairman for 10 years. He's also been member of the state VACO, Virginia Association of Counties, for 11 years. He served as president in 2011. He's a member of the Wise Kiwanis, member of the Masonic Lodge and Shriners for over 50 years. One of his earlier memories of Fall Fling Committee, he was one of the earliest members of Fall Fling Committee, and he's a member of the Wise Baptist Church. He's a deacon. He's married to Teresa Adkins. They have 2 children, 2 granddaughters, and 6 grandchildren. Bob, I'd like to ask you to come up. I want to present you with something. Bob had no idea we were doing this. Okay, you got a cell phone or somebody else can take your camera?
You got a camera?
Take some pictures. Ernie can. Ernie, come up and take this. Bob, join me here. I want to read a plaque that the town of Wise has put together. This plaque says, and it reads, Town of Wise Hometown Hero Award, presented by the Town of Wise to Robert R. Atkins for many years of dedication to the citizens of the Town of Wise as a business owner, founding member of Wise County Famous Fall Fling, member of several civic organizations, and for your timeless efforts and leadership on the Wise County Board of Supervisors 2024. Bob, I congratulate you for being the newest Town of Wise Hometown Hero. Thank you, sir. There's two things in the Town of Wise. One of the biggest things I think we can bestow upon an individual is a Hometown Hero Award. And the biggest thing and most important, I think that we can say from a town and from a council perspective is that individual is a good citizen. And Bob, you are a good citizen. We thank you very much. You want to say a few words? Yeah, he's been in politics a long time. Guarantee he's going to say a few words.
What a surprise. Yes, I truly am blessed with the opportunity to associate myself with this type people here in my hometown and in the county and in the state in my political venture. It's been a good trip, and my late wife and I started our family. Cancer took her away in 1994, and I was a lost pilgrim, so to speak, and my wife Teresa came along, and we started our association with one another. I looked at that beautiful, much younger woman, and I said, we're a generation apart. This won't work.
This worked.
What Bob Atkins is, for the last 26 years and a little before, Teresa has been my love, my guiding star, and she still does. If the county will have me, they are already asking me if I'm going to come back or if I'm going to remain, and I'll have to ask Teresa. The Lord has blessed me in many ways. I'm the oldest member of the Wise Baptist Church. I'm a deacon for many, many years. And I hope that I have been an influence to our younger people, maybe even the older people. I'm going to be 90 years old next week. That's a long time. Even if you're the oldest Baptist in the church, and I am the oldest Mason in the Masonic Lodge in Wise. I thank you, all of you who have supported me and my Teresa in our pilgrimage. I'm fixing to have my great, what is she? A great granddaughter is fixing to be born possibly on my birthday. It's right down to the count. And anyway, if it's the Lord's will, she'll be my heir and Teresa's responsibility for a long time. Thank you all. God bless.
I want to present Bob with a Centennial point too, and I want to tell you, he mentioned one word, inspiration. He's been an inspiration to not only his town, but the entire community in the county. They're working on the Board of Supervisors, which was a major contributing factor for him being today's hometown hero. So Bob, again, thank you. Lisa Robertson, as she mentioned earlier, is from the town of Wise. She also is from Wise County, and she wrote a song called Wise County. So it's one of the reasons why we asked her and the Crybabies to come down and perform. So they're getting ready, they'll be playing. So we're going to listen to a couple songs from Lisa. And you're welcome to stick around and join and tell stories that you may have of the town, your family, and the county. This has been a great day. We thank you. We thank everyone for attending. And at this time, we'll turn it over to the Crybabies.
Is that loud enough? Are we rocking? Here's my song, Wise County. It was county.
Hillside yesterday, and it was absolutely delightful. The wildflowers were incredible. We spent a lot of time just identifying the wildflowers. It was really great.
And the one I wanted to touch, she was like, wait, don't touch that. That might be poisonous. It might cause open wounds. And I'm like, yeah, okay, right. Then we looked it up, and she was right.
Hogweed.
What was it? Hogweed.
Yeah.
Ouch.
The asters were in bloom, there's like 7 different kinds, and it was a treat, definitely, to be able to take in and view all of those flowers. I don't know what the problem is, because, you know, I'm always
You're in tune. You're already in tune.
tuning going on here. I don't know where we're going.
We're going to do a little our version of Wise County Jail.
Yeah.
Anybody want to sing along, feel free to
We'll get the chorus.
join. Yeah, I think we're going to do it in C. We thought we might do it in G, but we changed our minds. That was, yeah, augmented third, the nearest two. Sandy got the cape on the wrong print. Wash your face, boys, come on up your head. Now you get ready for your coffee and bread. Hard times in the Wise County Jail. Hard times, I know. It's a cold meat and a cold bread. It's so cold, it's heavy as lead. Hard times in the Wise County Jail. Hard times, I know. We're in jail and it's so complete. About one half enough to read. Hard times in the Wise County Jail. Hard times, I know. It almost makes my stomach ache. Bring them taters on the old Kim plate. Hard times in the Wise County Jail. Hard times, I know. Well, the Wise County Jail's no jail at all. Witches and the roaches are climbing the walls. Hard times in the Wise County Jail. Hard times, I know. All right, we'll sing another. Office round Norton are a dirty old crew. Arresting for a man and they're looking from through. Pockets sell big, his clothes he'll sell. 25 cents sell sitting in jail. Hard times in the Wise County Jail. Hard times, I know.
Thank you all very much.
Appreciate it.
Forever, and it's Marta. I'm 100% Marta with a Centennial coin on behalf of the town of Wise and the Wise Centennial. So let's welcome our newest visitor. Thank you all. Make sure you come back 100 years from now. We're going to do this again.
Yeah, baby.